Hello ladies, today we are going to learn the comparison of adjectives in addition to quam plus the comparative, plum plus the superlative, and the ablative of comparison. So you should add the ablative of comparison onto your ablative of what sheet at the end of this lesson and after you take your notes. Okay, comparison of adjectives. All of the adjectives that you have learned so far have been in the positive degree, okay? There are 3 degrees for all adjectives. There's the positive degree, the comparative degree, and the superlative degree. The positive degree is any old regular adjective, right? Pretty, smart, interesting, big, small, all of the above. The comparative degree in English is formed either by adding an ER to the end of the adjective or adding the whole word more. So, for example, you can have a clear thought or you can have a clearer thought, right? Something can be long or something can be longer. Someone can be beautiful and another can be more beautiful, okay? So, the first clear, long, beautiful is the positive degree. Clearer, longer, and more beautiful is the comparative degree. The superlative degree in English forms by either adding est to the end of the adjective or most whatever. So clearest, longest, most beautiful. Now, when you translate the comparative and superlative into English from Latin, sometimes the more whatever, est, most whatever, won't be the best translation. In addition to those translations, you can translate the comparative as rather whatever, and you can translate the superlative as very whatever. So you can translate clearer or rather clear. You can translate clearest or very clear. Both are acceptable translations of the comparative and superlative. Okay, so how do you form the comparative and superlative for Latin adjectives? Well, in order to do the comparative, you need to find the adjective base. Onto this base, you add the nominative comparative endings IOR for the masculine and feminine and IUS for the neuter. Comparative adjectives decline like third declensions with the comparative base being IOR. Okay, so for example, clarus, clara, clarum, which means clear, will translate into the comparative as clarior, a clearer man or a clearer woman, or clariest, a clearer thing. And again, clarior and clarius can translate clearer or rather clear. The superlative is super easy. Again, all you need is the adjective base. You add ism, right? ISSIM, and then it's just a regular old first, second declension adjective. So isamus, isama, isamum. So clarus, clara, clarum, again, in the positive degree, becomes in the superlative clarissimus, clarissima, clarissimum. So clearest or very clear. So why don't we get a little practice forming the comparative and the superlative of these adjectives. So I have given you the positive degree. Please give me the comparative and the superlative. Okay, let's check to see if you were right. So longus, longa, longum in the masculine and feminine nominative is longior. in the comparative, longius in the neuter, longissimus, longissima, longissimum, fortior, fortimus, fortissimus, fortissima, fortissimum, felicior, felicius, felicissimus, felicissima, felicissimum, and sapientior, sapientius becomes sapientissimus, sapientissima, sapientissimum. The really nice thing, by the way, of comparing the, or making the comparative and superlative for adjectives is that it doesn't matter what declension the adjective is in the positive degree. It forms the same way for the comparative and superlative for for both types of adjectives. Okay, I'm going to have you guys work on declining these adjectives in class, but remember, comparative declines like a third declension noun, superlative like first, second declension adjective. So, last thing I want to talk to you guys about, the adverb quam and the ablative of comparison. So, if you want to compare two nouns or two pronouns, you can do it in Latin one of two ways. The first way you can do this is quam plus the comparative. So, you put the nouns, the two things that are being compared, the two nouns that are being compared in the same case, and you use this quam. So, he libri sunt clariores quam illi. These books are more famous, right, are more famous than those books. So, both he and illy are going to be in the same case, in this case the nominative plural. You have your comparative adjective, okay, so quam plus the comparative, and you translate quam than, okay. These books are more famous than those. That's one way you can do it. You can also do the ablative of comparison, meaning that the first thing that's being compared is in whatever case it is functioning in the sentence, but then the second noun that's being compared to it you put in the ablative case, okay? So these two sentences, he libri sunt clariores quam illi and he libri sunt clariores illis, are synonymous. They translate the exact same way. These books are more famous than those. You can either use an ablative of comparison or quam plus the comparative. Quam can also be used with superlative adjectives. If you do that, then the adjective quam plus the adjective translates as blank as possible. Okay? So let's look at the following sentence. Uxor agriculae erat quam jucundissima. The farmer's wife was as pleasant as possible. You no longer have to translate the superlative most or est or whatever. Quam plus the superlative translates as blank as possible. Quam jucundissima, as pleasant as possible. All right, ladies, if you have any questions, ask me when we next meet, and I hope you have a great night.